Hey y'all, I'm Chris and this is It Worth It, y'all? And today we got our first green bean harvest. Check that out. So what I'm gonna show you today is, because we have beans that come in just a little bit at a time, we're gonna make sure that we get these on the shelf and they don't go bad, because I picked these about 10 minutes ago and I want to preserve their freshness. So I'm gonna walk you through how we do that step by step, so stick around. Okay, so we are gonna start off with our canning Bible, So Easy to Preserve, 6th edition, and we are going to be on page 87, and we are doing the green beans. We're gonna do the raw pack, and we're gonna can in pints. So we need 20 minutes in a pressure canner. We're gonna put them in jars, leave an inch headspace, add some salt, fill the jars with water, remove air bubbles, and can. So the way you know if you're gonna use pints or quarts is really the size of your beans. So this is a pint jar, and we are going to use a pint jar because look, the green beans fit, and I like to fit them this way. So now we need to prepare the green beans. So I don't know about y'all, but when I was little, remember we used to call these snap beans because they snap when you prepare them. So what we do is you snap the top part off, snap the bottom part off. Some people call these string beans, some people call them snap beans, but Grandma and I would take her harvest of beans and we would sit on the couch with 2 bowls, watch Price is Right, because it come on at 11 o'clock, and we would sit here and we would snap beans. And she had rows and rows and rows of these things. And it would take us the entire Price is Right to get those beans done. I am pulling like bits and bobs off of the beans as we're going, and then I'm gonna pack this and I'll wash the beans off in the jar. I know what I put on my produce. If these were store-bought, I'd be washing them ahead of time. But since I know they came out of my garden, and you know what we put on our beans? Nothing. We just let them go. So I'm gonna rinse them off while they're in the jar. And you see how I like to pack them? Set the jar on its side. Toss them in. They'll get nice and compact that way. So I'll bring you back when we got our jars done, because this is gonna take a minute. You see, it's a little bit meticulous, but I tell you what, it's oh so worth it, because you won't have a better green bean. They don't make them. Can't buy this in the store, that's for sure. So here we are, y'all. This is our green bean row that we're pulling off of today. As you can see, I've already harvested. That's why the green beans are laying over. And there are a ton of green beans left in there. They're just not quite ready yet. Maybe in a day or two, we'll come back out and pick some more. All right, y'all, I went out and picked another handful, which is about 1/4 pound. So I've measured these as we went, and it takes about 1/2 pound of beans per pint jar. So that means it'll be, for a quart jar, it'll be 1 pound per. So we're gonna rinse these out real quick, just to wash the beans like I said I would. And then we are going to fill these up with water. All right, y'all, went ahead and rinsed these beans out real quick. And then I also added filtered water to each jar and left an inch of headspace just to make sure that we got some water that doesn't have chlorine or anything in it. I like to can with filtered water. Just make sure that we don't get any cloudiness in the jars, and we protect the produce that we just stuck in there. All right, I went ahead and put some of our filtered water in here, and now we need to debubble. And so what that is I'm gonna get me a chopstick. I like to use a reusable chopstick and kind of push it in here, kind of release any air bubbles that might be in there, because that's what you don't want. Definitely don't want air bubbles, but there was a bunch of air bubbles in that one. Another good thing we do is I twist them like that, and see, we've had the level drop on a couple of them pretty significantly. So what I'm gonna do is get me some more filtered water out of my filter. Okay, we want this 1 inch. Got a little high on a couple of them. I'm gonna take that water out and then I'll get you to the next step. All right, y'all, salt is optional because we are gonna pressure can these. I'm not gonna add salt because I like to season these later. So all we're gonna do, you notice I didn't wipe the rims with vinegar because there's really, the only ingredients are water and green beans. So there's not really a chance of anything sticking on there. I mean, I did kind of brush them off. So these are gonna go into the pressure canner for 20 minutes. Now I highly recommend that y'all get yourself a electric pressure canner, because days like this is a perfect example of why you need a pressure canner or electric one. So here's all the room that we've got left in there. The 3 jars are in there. I'm just going to keep them spread out. We're going to throw the lid on real quick. Let me set you down. And like I said before, each pressure canner is different, so make sure you follow the instructions for your canner. All right, mine is set. We're gonna go water bath steam low. We want a high pressure can. Man, that beeps loud. "20 minutes. We're gonna hit start and it's gonna start its cycle. All right, y'all, now like I said before, make sure you follow the instructions of whatever canner you have. Mine is in the heat up phase, then it's gonna do the steam phase. I only have to hit one more button after it beeps, and then I can let this thing sit here and do its job. I love having this canner when I have small batches like this. It makes sure that we can preserve our harvest and we don't have to wait for a big load to come in. When a big load comes in, we'll go get the bigger canners. So we'll bring you back whenever these 3 little jars come out and we have our first green bean and green bean preservation project complete.
What an awesome treat this is. I can't believe we're already putting beans up for the season. So you guys keep following along and we'll keep showing you what we are pulling out of the garden and putting up on the shelves. Until then, like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And until we see you on that next video, bye y'all.